Hey everyone, this is Dr. Mark Supernow with Family Healing Chiropractic. This is an educational video for our patients and for those that you're trying to send over to our office to get some help with chiropractic. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you just to understand some basic skills, some basic thoughts about the human body and how it works. I'm going to walk you through different processes of how the body works and use some analogies for chiropractic that have been super helpful over the course of years, why you should get checked up, why your family should get checked up, why people with symptoms should get checked up, why people without symptoms should get checked up. But overall, what does chiropractic do for you? So hope you enjoy this video. Share this, give it to other people, refer other people to it, and hope you enjoy this video that I'm going to put out today. I'd like to start here, basic, simple concepts about the way that the body was designed and how God created the body. The first thing you need to understand is that all living things have this innate intelligence, inborn intelligence, where all living things want to survive. They want to heal. They want to adapt to its environment. If there's stress in its environment, it wants to be able to fight through that stress. So one of the big ways that you think about this is like as simple as you possibly can think about it is a plant. And I use this analogy a lot, but hopefully this makes sense. But a plant, if you take a plant and you turn it away from the light, what it's eventually going to do is it's going to want to turn its leaves back towards the light. Why? Because it's trying to survive. It's trying to thrive. It's trying to adapt. If you don't water a plant, it's also going to try to dig its roots down deeper because it's trying to find water. It's trying to adapt. It's trying to survive. Same thing. If you hit a deer in the road and it breaks a leg, it's going to find a way to survive. The body's going to want to heal. Our bodies are even more complex than that, more complex than plants, of course, but about the same as animals. But the way that the body works and where all the function, where all creation, where it's all put in is it's inside your brain. Your brain and your spinal cord are what control every single function you have. So I love this. In chiropractic, we call the safety pin cycle or the complete brain and body cycle. And you can see on the safety pin on the left here is that the brain, actually the brain is the top part of the safety pin. And what it does is the brain sends messages down through the nerve system to all the organ cells and tissues in the body, to your heart, to your lungs, to your liver, to your kidneys, to your immune system, to your thyroid, to your hormone balances. Everything's communicated from your brain, created here, and it's sent down through there. But then the body, the stomach, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the immune system, the digestive system send messages back up to the brain. So when the spine and the nerve system are in proper alignment, the brain and spinal cord can communicate properly and the body can heal and do what it's supposed to do. But when stress comes into the body, and that stress comes in the form of the brainstem or spinal cord or whatever it might be, the stress comes from a subluxation standpoint. What happens is the brain sends messages down and it can't get the messages there. So you can see on the right-hand side there, the subluxated spine, it can happen on either side. It can be the messages from the brain to the body, or it can be the messages from the body to the brain that are interrupted. Now, a couple things I like to share here is that the brain sends messages down to tell if you disrupt the communication from the brain to the body, the heart can't beat the way it's supposed to. The neck muscles can't relax the way they're supposed to. The thyroid can't work the way it's supposed to. Your serotonin, dopamine can't work the way that it's supposed to. Your digestive system, your back muscles, it can't heal. Cuts, wounds can't heal if the brain's disrupted the communication through the message. Now, it's not at 100%. It's at a lesser percent, but it's not at 100% blockage. It's just a little bit. And so it's like if you know that you need a certain amount of water to water your lawn or to water your garden, and somebody comes along and kinks that garden hose, then what happens is less than enough of the water gets to the garden, and then that garden's going to die. And so same thing happens within the body. So with the safety pin cycle on the right-hand side here, what you're seeing is that the brain sends messages down through the spinal cord and the messages go back up. If you're taking medicines, what happens is as the medicines block the symptoms, the aches, the pains, the problems, if I break my arm in 10 places and I take enough pain meds, it's going to block how my arm's going to be able to tell my brain what's wrong. So you want to complete this cycle. You want to make sure that you start to come off your drugs and your medications as soon as you possibly can, as safely as you possibly can. But you also want to make sure that you're adjusted on a regular basis so that the brain and spinal cord can communicate the way that it's supposed to, how it's supposed to, so your body can work and heal for really the rest of your life is what you're looking for. And so we talk about this. We don't want to adjust you. We don't want to adjust you just to make your symptoms go away. We want to adjust you to keep the body functioning and adapting at its highest level is what we're looking for. We want that body working at its highest level. We don't adjust you just to get the symptoms to go away. We adjust you to keep the body functioning and adapting at its highest level. When it's doing that, the symptoms should take care of themselves. The body should take care of itself. Things should take care of themselves when the body's working the way that it's supposed to at the highest level is what we're looking for. And so the symptoms that you have, the symptoms that people have, they're just the warning signals. It's just a sign of a bigger problem that's happening. And so when you start to realize that and understand that, it's hard. I know if you're sitting here in my hot seats in my office and you're ready to get adjusted here in a little bit, you guys understand more than likely a little bit why you're supposed to be here, that it's bigger than just your symptoms. But most of our friends and our family members think that you're just going to the chiropractor because you have a little bit of neck pain, because you have a little bit of back pain. And when the pains go away, your family's like completely dumbfounded. Why in the heck would you still keep going to the chiropractor? Because they think that you only go to a doctor when you have a symptom, because they've been groomed and brainwashed their whole life to think that a symptom equals a problem, and that problem needs to be taken care of, the symptom only. But nobody's ever taught you how to take care of this. So if you're having these things, or if your friends, your family members, your neighbors are having, and this is not just limited to these things, headaches, menstrual cycle issues, hormone issues, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, depression, numbness and tingling in your arms or legs, sciatic nerve, neck pain, dizziness, fatigue, acid reflux, digestive issues, lower digestive system issues like IBS or Crohn's disease or constipation, acid reflux, food intolerances, asthma, allergies, which you guys probably heard my story. That's part of the reason why I went to the chiropractor. Ear infections, frequent colds, constipation. Frequent colds is telling you that your immune system's dropping. Your immune system's not as strong as it should be. If you have frequent colds, that means something underlying is going on. Constipation, like I said, attention, focus. I just had a lady come in the other day. She's like, oh my gosh. She goes, I've been getting adjusted now for 2 or 3 weeks. I can't believe how much better I'm sleeping. It hasn't helped my other symptoms yet, but I'm sleeping better. Sleep problems, eczema, skin conditions, and like I said, so many more. The key is when you have a symptom, it's a warning signal that something bigger is going on. The way that God created our bodies is that if you have a symptom, that symptom is just trying to warn you about something bigger. But the mistake we make as Americans is we ignore it. Or number 2, we take a medication to cover it up, and that's what we do. And that's what we just kind of get by. And then we end up getting sicker and sicker as we get older, and we can't figure out why are we getting sicker. And the reality is that we've never addressed what the problem is. It's like if your oil light or your tire light or your engine light's on in your car, you're not going to just keep driving that car until something bigger has happened. You know that if you ignore it, something bigger, going to cost more, and going to be a bigger issue with your car is going to show up. Same thing, you wouldn't take a piece of black tape and put it over top of that dashboard to cover it up, cover that light up. Because if you cover that light up, then what ends up happening is the problem's still going to keep getting bigger. You're just not going to know. The warning signals are no longer going to be there. So when you're hiding your symptoms, you're hiding your warning signals, and there's a bigger problem that's coming along the way. So stress to the body and spine disrupts the function and decreases the body's ability for the brain to communicate with the body, the ability for the brain to communicate with the body. Stress to the body and spine disrupts the function and decreases the ability for your brain to communicate. So we're all inundated with so much stress. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later, but stress, whether it's work stress, physical stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, these things come into our world, and there's more now than ever before. And when our bodies can't adapt to it, it has to try to protect itself. And so what ends up happening is the spine will start to shift out of its normal alignment because it can no longer deal with all the stress, and it has to let off somewhere. It's kind of like if you have too much water in the dam, eventually there's going to be a hole poked in it, or something's going to happen. Something's got to give eventually. And that's what happens is we're so inundated with stress now. And I even think about my grandparents who got adjusted. They both died in their early 90s, 93 and 95. But for the years between like their years 40 and 80, they got adjusted on a regular basis. But their adjustment on a regular basis was more like once every 3 months or every 2 months because their spine would hold better. They also lived on a farm, ate from a farm, worked hard on the farm, and they didn't have today's technology and stress that we have like we have today. So I like to use this analogy, and I'm going to come off the screen here to myself here for a second. And I want you guys to see this, is that I use this analogy quite a bit, is that we call this the rubber band analogy. And basically what it is like, if we pretend that this finger is a nerve, we take this rubber band and I scrunch it around there. And what's going to happen, and you guys can probably start to see it already, in just a short amount of time, you can see that the blood's being cut off to this finger, right? And what's happening as the blood's being cut off to this finger is that it first is starts to go a little bit numb. Right now it's throbbing. And then with that throbbing is going to become a little bit more deeper throbbing. Then there's going to be pain that comes with it. Then there's going to be numbness. And then eventually, if I leave this thing on here long enough, it's going to shrivel up and it's going to die and it's going to fall off. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't want to sit here and try that. But thinking along the lines of the medical model that we live in and what we've been taught with our bodies and how we need to start to shift our paradigm is that if we come along and say, well, that's not good because we see this and we see the symptoms with it, you can see how purple it's getting right now. Well, I could come in here, I could massage it. And if I massage it, man, it feels a little bit better. But if I stop massaging it, what happens? The problem's still there. I could exercise it, I could move it, and actually moving it gets blood to it a little bit, and it can kind of temporarily take away. I could even take some pills here that would block my brain's perception of what's going on here. I could even inject this finger with a steroid or a painkiller and make it feel better. I could hook it up to electrodes and lasers, and I could do all these things with it. But the only thing that's going to save the life of this finger is to do what? And you guys can say it with me. Take that pressure off. Now the healing is restored back to the finger and all those symptoms. And this is what's fascinating. As you take that pressure off, the symptoms go back through the opposite direction as it goes through its healing process. It's no different than what it is with the nerve system in the body, is that when you have a normal functioning nerve system, there at the top, you can see a normal nerves, brainstem, spinal cord coming down through there, and the nerves coming out there. You can see when the nerves are wide open, it's able to heal and function. But when there's a nerve impingement syndrome, or what we call a subluxation, that's when you start to get the pressure on the nerve. And that pressure on the nerve might cause sciatic nerve problems. That pressure might cause asthma or allergies or headaches or stomach ulcers or digestive problems. It might cause your sleeping issues. It might cause your energy issues. The thing is that we only pay attention to the symptom that bothers us the most, but there's a lot of other things that are related to the same nerves. So if the same nerve that goes to your heart, to your lungs, to your mid-back, to your nerves that go to your hand, if that nerve is being pinched or pressured, you might only have one of those symptoms right now. But if you leave that pressure there, more things are going to start to show up along the way. And so that's why it's super important for you to actually get to the core source of the problem. What we do with you is we take the pressure off, and then the body's able to heal. We take that pressure off, and then the body's able to heal. But the problem is, if you lived in a vacuum, that pressure would stay off. But the problem is that your spine has been in a bad position for such a long time. It's a short amount of time before that pressure comes back on. And then you go and sit at a computer for 8-10 hours a day, and you sit on your phones for the other 8 hours of wake time. And so what our job is to keep that pressure off for as long as we can, so your body can actually go through its healing process and heal what it's supposed to do. So people ask this all the time. Why should I get my spouse and my kids checked? Because if you could prevent sickness and disease at the same time as improving their ability for their bodies to function and get the most out of life, wouldn't you want to do that? And people say yes all the time, but they're really worried or scared about, well, I'm worried that they're going to have a problem. I'm worried that it's going to cost too much. Well, you guys know this in our office. We do family plans. And the reason why we do family plans is because we want to make sure that you guys are able to afford whole families. We have families that have been coming, families of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that have been coming for years, some of them 20 years almost. And what it does is it reduces the amount that you pay medically for sickness and disease and work days lost and decreased function. You guys try to do the best for your kids to get them an extra second faster in the swimming pool, or get them to kick farther, or to be able to in soccer, or to be able to get them to run faster for baseball, jump higher for basketball. You do these things all the time and you pay all this money, but you've got to start with the function of the body first. So, and I'm going to talk more about this here in a little bit, about getting the body functioning at the highest level. This is why. Now, here's what I'm a big fan of: getting everybody checked in the family, because a lot of times, and I said this the other day, and I can't remember the exact terminology somebody said, but I said, why do you think it's big for families to get checked? And they said, because it's environmental. And I love that terminology. Environmental means that the environment that we're growing up in, that it's very contagious, that moms and dads do a lot of the same habits as do their kids along the way. But in our medical model that most of us were raised in, again, switching gears again here, is that healthcare today is about symptoms, doctors, tests, drugs, doctors, more symptoms, specialists, more drugs, surgery, repeat. It's this medical merry-go-round along the way. So what I'm trying to do, and what we're trying to do in the office, is try to rip you out of this paradigm as much as we possibly can. I grew up in this model right here. In fact, the model that I grew up in, I had it, and some of you guys know my story: asthma and allergies at 7 years old. Mom takes me to the doctor into this medical merry-go-round that you're seeing on the screen right here. They give me asthma allergy medications, and they send me home with an inhaler. I was thankful for it because I could breathe again. But the inhaler started causing, and all medicines come with what? Side effects. The side effect of the inhaler is that it actually started causing headaches. So at 12, 13 years old, the headaches got so bad, my mom takes me back to the doctor, back into this model, and guess what they give me? Tylenol and aspirin. So I start taking Tylenol and aspirin just so I can put my football helmet on. And the Tylenol and aspirin I start taking, they help with the headache, but guess what it causes? It starts to eat a hole in my stomach. I started having stomach ulcers at 17 years old. So my mom takes me back to the doctor, and guess what happens? The doctor says, oh, just give him acid reflux medication. And I take acid reflux medication. Guess what that does? It starts causing digestive problems. So I'm in my third year at University of Iowa. I'm going to become a medical doctor. I'm pre-med. They've taught us that chiropractors are quacks. So if you guys have said that chiropractors are quacks, I've said it a million times, so you're not going to offend me. And I thought chiropractors were quacks. And my academic advisor said, you should go see my chiropractor. And I thought she was out of her mind because I didn't have any neck pain or back pain. She says, no, it's so much bigger. It's about your function of your body. You need to go see my chiropractor. I went. He basically explained to me what I'm explaining to you guys here. I had so much pressure on my nerve system that controlled a lot of those things, that other people could handle these things, but my pressure was so bad, my body just could not heal through these. I started getting adjusted. Within about 3 months, I came off of all 4 of my medications and haven't taken another drug in my body in the last 28 years. Now, there's a time and place for medical, okay? I'm not going to doubt that, but you have to start to change your paradigm, because if you can start to take care of yourself the way you're supposed to, that's the key component that we're looking for. Because when you get a symptom or a problem or a signal, right? Everybody has 3 options, and everybody walks from my front door, and your friends and family members that you're talking to that aren't coming to the office yet, or if you're that person, you haven't come to the office yet, here's the key, is that you have 3 options. If you're having neck pain, back pain, digestive problems, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, I know you guys don't think that this is chiropractic. I'm going to show you guys how these things are function aspects of it, and you want your body functioning no matter what cancer, heart disease, diabetes you're going through. You want your body functioning properly. If you have a symptom or problem, everybody has the same 3 options. Number 1, you could do nothing about the symptom, and whatever is causing it is only going to get worse as you get older. It just happens that way. If the problem's there, you do nothing about it, the cause of it's just going to keep getting worse. Second option is you can medicate it, you can massage it, you can ice it, you can hook up to electrodes, lasers, you name it. If you don't deal with the cause, it still keeps getting worse. It's kind of like when I had the rubber band and I was pinching the finger with the rubber band and I was massaging it and all that. I can make it feel good. I can medicate it. But if you don't address the cause, it's still going to keep getting worse. So the third option is to find out what the cause is. So when I did the rubber band, The cause was the pressure on the rubber on the finger. I took the pressure off, and then the body is able to go through and heal itself. It's all about function, and it's all about adaptability of your body. That's what chiropractic, max living, and family healing chiropractic work dedicated to making sure that your body can function and adapt at the highest level that it possibly can. Some of you guys came in here for the problems you guys came in for, and you're still having the headaches. You're still having the digestive problems. You're still having, but you're improving in other areas. The whole body is improving, whether you know it or not. The body is constantly trying to adapt and heal, especially when we get that pressure off the nerve system. Now, I love this function chart, and you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. But what happens is you're 0% function to 100% function. So on the left here, at 0% function, if your body is functioning at 0% function, that means you're what? You're dead, okay? At 100% function, what's that mean? That means your body is functioning at the highest level. There's no aches and pains. There's no digestive problems. Your hormones are balanced, and the body is actually working. You're a better mom. You're a better dad. You're a better brother. You're a better student. You're a better wrestler. You're a better football player. You're better at your job. You're smarter. You respond faster. You have better emotions, better energy. Everything's better when your body's functioning at 100%. So symptoms do not present itself until you go down to 60%. So the space between 100% and 60%, there's no symptoms there. So do you realize that if somebody you know or you have a symptom, that means you're already at 60% function. So if there's high blood pressure, you're already at 60% function. But there's been years where it went from 100% to 60%, you didn't even know what's going on. And so the goal is to get people as close to 100% function, which means your body healing, and you're at the highest level that it possibly can work at. And this is why everybody should get checked. So if anybody you know has a symptom, they're already at less than 60%. But if they don't have symptoms, the reason why you get them checked is because they could be between 60 and 100%. The only way we know is to do an exam, a consultation. If they're pregnant, we don't take x-rays, but if they're not pregnant, we take x-rays. And x-rays will show us what exactly is going on within that nerve system to make sure that we can get your body back to or moving towards 100% function is what we're looking for. Health is that 100% function. That's our goal in our office, is that health. I don't even love the word health. I like to use the word function better, because health, people relate to, I feel good, but it's so much bigger than just feeling good. It's like, are you the best at your job? Are you the best wrestler? Are you the best runner? Are you the best dad? Are you the best mom? Are you the best? That's what I think about when I think function. And that's our goal at our office, is to get you functioning at the highest level that we possibly can. Well, here's two kids, same family, same parents, same school, same everything. And so what's pretty crazy or pretty amazing about this is that the picture on the left here is that, remember, the curve's supposed to be 40 to 45 degrees. And see, being at 40 to 45 degrees, what happens is that the curve, the brain messages from the brain and spinal cord can work properly. The girl on the left here, though, the girl on the right at minus 13 degrees. So what happens is, remember, that curve is supposed to be 40 to 45 degrees. It's supposed to have a good curve in there. If you lose the curve, then the pressure on the nerve system becomes more and more and more. And so what we want to make sure is that the curve and the function of the nerve system is working perfectly. So here's a great example. Two kids, same family, same parents, same school, same food, same everything. In our country, we've been brainwashed. We've been perpetuated to believe by the big medical pharmacal insurance model, okay, to believe that you have weaknesses in your body and that bugs and germs can get you. And that's why everybody needs to get a vaccine, and you need to live in antibacterials all the time, okay, which is a complete and total lie. It's perpetuated, especially in the last 3.5 years. It's going to come back again this year. So you guys better be prepared, better be ready for the dogma, for the messaging that's bad. It was awful. You guys know it. Most people saw the way through this thing and are going to be aware of it this time, but we got to be more aware. But here's the truth of the matter is, you guys know this. In some families, there's somebody that seems to get sick all the time. And there seems to be somebody that never gets sick. And you're like, well, the person that never gets sick, they must just have a good what? a good immune system. See, the key with this is that it's not just about the immune system. The immune system is controlled by your nerve system. So here's two kids. The little boy never had a sick day in his life, but the little girl was constantly sick from the day she's born. If you had to guess and put all your money in your bank account on who the sick little girl is, you're going to say it's which one? The one on the right. Why? Because she has minus 13-degree curve. So instead of this curve going the right way and the nerve system working properly, she's got major stress and pressure on her brainstem and spinal cord. That's where the immune system lies. And so here's this girl with chronic ear infections from almost the day that she was born. So of course, the medical model version of what they did with her is they gave her what? Antibiotics. And antibiotics do what to your digestive system? They destroy it. And she keeps getting sicker and she keeps getting sicker. They put tubes in her ears and she keeps getting sicker. They put tubes in her ears a second time. And when they put the tubes in her ears a second time, she actually started going deaf and she started losing her hearing and she missed every day of first grade at 6 years old. Thank God mom and dad met somebody that lives or that comes to our office. They opened their mouth. They said, hey, maybe there's something different for your daughter. And it's not an easy conversation. I get it. But opening your mouth and just saying, hey, can I make a suggestion? That's an easy way for you guys to be able to do it. Invite them to a dinner. Say, hey, look, there's a new way. There's a different way to be able to trust the body and trust the immune system. So they come into our office and I take this picture and they're blown away. She's got basically the equivalent of a 30 to 40-year-old lady's spine at 6 years old. How does it get that bad? More than likely happened at trauma at birth. But she didn't have neck pain. Most people think, oh, well, she's going to have tons of neck pain. Nope. This is not about neck pain, right? This is a function issue. So we started adjusting this girl. Within 2 weeks, the ear infections completely cleared up. She stopped taking all her antibiotics, never missed another day of first grade. But we did check her brother, the one on the left, and we checked her sister, and we checked mom and dad. Why did we check everybody? Because we believe it's crucial to find out what's happening within everybody's nerve system. Now, her brother, where he's a lot better shape than she is, but he's in that 60 to 100% range. He's in that range where he's in that 60 to 100% range where he's not quite, he doesn't have any symptoms, but he's already got function issues starting at an early age. So are we going to let that function issue start happening all his life for the next 10 years before finally a headache shows up, or finally before acid reflux shows up, or ADD or ADHD? Or are we going to get him functioning at 100% right at the beginning? It's way cheaper. It's more cost effective. It's the right way to do it. And it prevents future sickness and disease when you start to take care of the spine from an early age. Here's the warning signs or signals for kids. If they've got pain, if any kid has pain in their spine, that's a red alert. That's not supposed to happen. I've seen kids with horrible spines that have no pain. If they have pain, that's a big deal. Restricted motion, meaning they can't move one way or another. Abnormal posture, foot flare, toe walking, head tilt, uneven shoulders, scoliosis, right? Poor balance, fatigue, chronic ear infections, hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, asthma, allergies, poor sleep, attention, frequent sicknesses. If they get sick a lot, slow development, bedwetting is a big, clear things. With kids and babies, especially that are nonverbal, the main questions I ask for kids is, are they peeing? Are they pooping? Are they eating? And are they sleeping? Those are the things that kind of give you an idea for kids. And then traumas and mental stress. These are things that kids are inundated with. And I'm going to add this in here and I don't write it up here. But if they've been inundated with a lot of chemicals, meaning meds, meaning things like antibiotics, or they've had lots of vaccines. And again, if you didn't know, you didn't know. I know there's a lot of argument about this, but I have classes on this that I can't put on YouTube. And probably me even mentioning this right now is not good because we get taken down every time I do mention something like that. But those chemicals are massive. And those chemicals impact the body in a massive, massive way. So these four beauties, this is a couple years ago, but now they're 20, 18, 15, and 12. And these are my daughters. And all four of them have never had a vaccine in their body their whole life, never had a chemical or drug in their body their whole life. They're 100% purely the way that God designed them. We've raised them to understand that if you have a problem or issue, we get them adjusted, we pray with them, eat healthy foods, and you get sleep because the body knows how to heal itself, but we got to make sure that the adaptability factor of the body is working how it's supposed to work. Well, people will say, oh, you're lucky. Listen, I'm not, yes, I am lucky. Okay. But where I'm really lucky and what I really believe, it's not luck. It's how do you raise your kids? You get to choose how you raise your kids. You can raise them in the medical model, which means that you're going to have one of the worst healthcare systems in the whole wide world, or you can choose them to raise them in a chiropractic lifestyle. And I will teach you that chiropractic lifestyle. If your kids aren't here yet, get them checked ASAP. You just never know what's going on with their nervous system. Most people are like, oh yeah, they when they see the X-rays in the spine and nervous system, they start to understand it. The first thing is, oh man, I need this for my oldest. And I'm like, well, why your oldest? They're like, well, because they have all kinds of symptoms. And I'm like, what about the other two? They're like, yeah, they don't really have symptoms. I'm like, did you not just hear anything I just talked about? It's all about function. It's not about symptoms along the way. And so we want to make sure, and this is the question that one of the founders of chiropractic used to ask, is why two people that work next to each other eat the same foods around the same people, one gets sick and one doesn't? What's the missing link? What's the missing link? Why did she get sick and he did not? What's the missing link? It's about the adaptability factor of the human body, and that's embodied in the nerve system, is the creative place where adaptability comes from, and it needs to be working at its highest level at all times. This is why people were so confused, and doctors are so confused. Why is it that some people got COVID and were fine and some didn't? Well, they got smarter about the middle of it, and they said, well, it looks like people that have comorbidities have sickness and disease, that they get COVID and they have problems healing from this. And so they have heart disease, they have cancer, they have diabetes, their bodies are already stressed. The thing that they don't realize is that really what it comes down to is this chart right here. If you have a comorbidity, your already body's functioning at less than 60%, right? And that's the problem. And that's why when they got COVID, they had issues because their body was already weak. That's why in major cities, New York City, Italy, LA, people had a harder time with COVID because they're inundated with chemicals and their function of their bodies are just at a poorer level than other people. It wasn't about the comorbidities. Comorbidities, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, were there because they already had a less than function. The function of their body was already working poorly. And the comorbidities were already there. And that's why they had problems with COVID, was because, and for that reason. That's the missing link along the way. Oh, I love this story. I could probably spend days on this story, and I'm not going to tell you too much about it. It's going to be in my next class, my next makeover on October 7th. It's Cancer Killers. We're going to talk about this, and if it's past that date, make sure you guys go to our YouTube channel and Facebook channel and try to find it. But I'm going to talk a lot about this case. These are two Siamese twins that were in Russia, and they told the mom that Masha and Dasha died at birth. And they took them away from the mom, and they did all these scientific tests. I know, a horrible, horrible, horrible case. They didn't find out until later on that the scientist had lied, and it sucks. But the crazy thing about the story is that these two sisters, they had the same blood supply. They shared some things. They shared the same blood supply, but they had their own brains. They had their own spinal cords. They had their own digestive system. Okay, but they share the same blood, and this completely destroys the medical model. The medical model will tell you that if one of them gets sick, the other one should get sick. And the crazy thing about this is that wasn't true at all. It wasn't even true for a second. What happened is that one got sick, one didn't, and they were like baffled by this as they started going through this. In fact, the crazy thing about these two, I'm gonna look at this up right now, is that they were born in 1950s. They were joined at the spine at an angle of 180. Both of them, they possessed 4 arms, 3 legs, separate small intestines, but they shared the same colon and the same rectum. They had 4 kidneys, but 1 bladder. They had a shared reproductive system. Their circulatory system was interconnected. They shared the same blood supply, but they had separate spines. And even though they shared the same circulation, the importance of this is that you need to understand 100 years ago, Louis Pasteur thought about this thing with the germ theory, and they still perpetuate this still to this day. The notion that bacteria and viruses cause all disease is basically how the foundation of modern medicine is now based on. The crazy thing about it is he said germs flocked to the site and signaled disease as it existed. But the key with this is that these two girls, though, one would get sick and one would not get sick. See, the fascinating thing is that they found is that even though they shared the same blood, they did not get the same illnesses. In fact, during childhood, one twin got measles and the other did not. So all those people saying, oh, it's the unvaccinated fault, the people that don't get vaccines, that's whose problem it is about the measles. Nope. Completely proven wrong right here. Same blood supply. One got measles, one did not. How's that possible? Well, the germs were shared by both of them, but only one of them were affected by it. And this phenomenon kept occurring repeatedly. One would get a cold, one wouldn't. One got the flu, one didn't. One had immune weaknesses, and one was right-handed, and one was short-sighted. One was actually a smoker, and one had loved alcohol. One had high blood pressure, one didn't. One had clear vision, one didn't. Even though they shared the same blood supply and all these things, the key with this is that they had separate nerve systems. The missing link here was that they shared, they had separate nerve systems. And nerve system controls all function, all adaptability of the body. This is where the crucial keys of how the body works and what happens with inside the body. That the body is controlled and adapted by the nerve system. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you the circulatory system is not important. I'm not telling you that the endocrine system, which secretes hormones in your body, is not important. All those things are important, but all those things are controlled. And the missing link, the key, is the nerve system is what it is. So people ask, and this is a fascinating story. If you have questions about it, ask one of our doctors about it. They'll talk to you all day long about this stuff. So people ask me, so what causes my spine to go out of alignment? Why do I need to keep getting adjusted? Why does it happen? Well, you had habits your whole life and stress that got you here. And so, but then you also are continuing to keep doing those stresses as you move forward. So we want to, at the beginning here, we're adjusting to correct the past stuff to get your body into a holding pattern. And then once you get to that holding pattern, we want to keep you moving in the right direction, but you can't live in a vacuum. You've got to keep working on the spine because you want it to keep moving or going forward. And so if you look at, and I've talked about this several times, so I'll go through this quickly. Brain controls every function inside your body. Everything. Of all the hundreds of millions of nerves that you have, only 7% feel pain. Only 7% of your nerves feel pain. That means that 93% of your nerve system controls organs, cells, tissues, hormones, balance, all kinds of things. So again, most people use chiropractic for only the 7% of the nerves. And when the pain goes away, they stop getting adjusted. Or when the pain doesn't go away, they stop getting adjusted. And so what this is really about is making sure that the nerve system is working at the highest level so your body can adapt at the highest level that it possibly can. But what creates stress in the spine is what we call a subluxation process. Healthy spinal cord, the picture of the spine on the left here. That left one, on that you see the x-ray and a cadaver side by side there. And you can see a C curve in there. And you can even see like the brainstem and spinal cord in there. You can actually see the brainstem and spinal cord as it goes through that area there. And it's nice and like a C shape is what you're looking for. And the left here, you can see the spinal cord. If you do a cross section, meaning if I cut that spinal cord and I look straight down the nerves, I like to call it, it's like 100 million nerves, basically. And it's 100 millions of nerves, like all individual wires coming down through there. If I cut that and look down the wires, this is what 100 million wires or nerves look like as you look straight down the spinal cord. But if you put stress or tension on the spinal cord, it's what we call a subluxation process. So the key with this is I just lost my microphone. The key with this is that if the spine, I was looking for a spine real quick. If the bones of the spine move out of their alignment, so if the spine is supposed to be aligned like this, if the bones in the spine move out of their alignment, that's what we call a subluxation process. Okay. Once it moves out of its alignment, the joints, when they're in alignment, they can move perfectly like they're supposed to. When they're out of alignment, they can't move like they're supposed to. And when they move like they're supposed to, they get the nutrients it needs to stay healthy, to stay alive. When the spine's out of its alignment, though, it can't move and it can't get the nutrients it needs to stay alive and to be healthy. So when you have that stress or that subluxation process, the spine starts to break down. It's kind of like a cavity in your tooth. Every day that the cavity is there, the tooth keeps getting worse. Every day that the stress, the subluxation process is there, it keeps getting worse. And what creates that stress or that subluxation to the body? It's the body's inability to adapt to three stressors. And that stressors are this. It's traumas, thoughts, and toxins. Traumas are physical things. That's like car accidents. It's like slips and falls. It's sitting on your computers or your phones. It's old sports injuries. It's stuff like that. That's physical trauma. Then there's emotional stress. Emotional stress is like if you ever see a little kid that was yelled at as a little kid, like you're never going to amount to any good, you're no good. What they're going to do is they're going to start to slouch like this. Or if you're emotionally stressed, you start to create this stress in here. And then the last one is chemical stress. Chemical stresses are everywhere. Some of the worst spines I've ever seen are people that were drug users, alcoholics, people that take too many medications, because medications alter and damage the nerve system and the body's ability to be able to function and heal itself. So once that stress starts, there's subluxation process. Then what ends up happening is that the spine itself will go from a curvature to a flattened spine, what we call a phase 1 of degeneration. That's what we call a pathological spinal cord. Pathological, that's Latin for disease-causing spinal cord is what that means. Disease-causing spinal cord. That's not good. It's not supposed to be there that way. And so we want to make sure that you understand it takes 10 to 20 years to get to what's called a phase 1 or pathological spinal cord. So when we take x-rays of people, we can tell about how long it's been there. And we can tell the stress. You can see on the right-hand side, that's the cord tension. And this is why people come to me and say, okay, I understand if you get adjusted, it can help neck pain or back pain, but how in the world does it help all these other things? This is how. Because when you start to affect multiple levels or multiple millions of nerves at a time, it can affect whole systems and organ functions, heart, lung, liver, kidneys, balance, nerve system. Everything's completely controlled by your nerve system. And so hope this video works. It's not going to work. I want it to work. Let me do this. I'm going to stop this. Share screen. All right. Let me try to get it to do this way. Okay. It's going to work. Yes. So when you see this picture here, oh no, it's going to work. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. All right, you're going to have to trust me on this one. What this shows is the spine actually going through this process of actually going through a degenerative process. It goes from a perfect curve to actually decreased function that goes on with this. So let me see if I can't do this. It's a command. Nope. Can't get it to go. What happens is the spine starts to go through this degenerative process. As it degenerates, what ends up happening is that as it degenerates, it starts to go through this process of the spine starts to lose its curvature in there. And then that's what causes abnormal structure in the spine. And the longer that it's been there, the more degeneration that's there, the longer it's been there, the more problems it's going to cause, and the harder it is to fix. It's important for us to know how long your problem's been there. So when we look at a spine, normal, abnormal, this is a picture of the low back straight on. The left one is a 40-year-old lady. Her hips are balanced, spine's perfectly straight up and down, and her nerve system's working, functioning at 100%. The guy on the right is 30 years old. Adam, hips are out of balance. He's got a scoliosis in there, major stress, major pressure. Some of you guys know the story about this guy, 20 years old, started having right kidney problems. Now, when I see a spine that looks like that, I start to look at not just the symptoms they come through the office doors with. I start to look at, oh man, this is affecting his prostate, his bladder, his kidneys, his intestines, his digestive system, male organs, sciatic nerve. All those things are being affected. The thing that people don't realize is that 30 years old, he comes to me, and imagine this. Somebody has a kidney problem, comes to the chiropractor because his best friend told him to. I mean, you're going to say, no, heck no, there's no reason why I should be there. But thankfully, he said, okay, I'm going to come in. I started adjusting this guy within 3 months, came off his dialysis, came off his pain meds. Within 6 months, cancels his kidney transplant and gets his body's functioning back in the right pathway. The key with this is we adjusted him not for the kidney problem. I adjusted him so his body could get function back. And in that process, not only did it heal the right kidney, it healed the left kidney, the intestines, the digestive system, the prostate, the male organs, the side. All the organ cells and tissues got healthier and started functioning better. That's the key behind this. Abnormal versus normal. Normal's on the left. Perfect curve. Picture the neck from the side. Okay. You can see that that's the top part of that. That's the brain and spinal cord. The right side of that left picture is the back side of the neck. It's a C shape. It's a curve, 40 degrees. She's 50 years old. Her nerve system's working at 100%. The lady on the right, same exact age, 50 years old, Pam, she's got a minus 10-degree curve. She's got no disc spaces. The disc spaces are smushed down. And she's got a forward head posture. Her head is out in front of her shoulders. So what that's creating is all this tension on her spinal cord, her nerve system. She's taking 6 different medications. And if you look at it, if you look at the nerve chart and you look at this area, you could guess what drug she's taken because you could start to see where the stress is. The fascinating thing is that this girl, this lady, all 6 medications, she's miserable. None of the medications are working. Her energy's down. Life is miserable as she knows it. We start adjusting her. And let me back up. Her nerve system through this area is affecting her. She's got 1 medicine for high blood pressure, 2 for thyroid, 1 for depression, 1 for anxiety, and 1 for sinus headaches. I started adjusting this lady. Within 3 months, she came off of all 6 of her drugs. I didn't heal any of those problems. I didn't heal the guy's kidney problem. Our job is to get the function of the body adapting and healing at the highest level so the body can actually go through its healing process on its own, how it's supposed to work, and what it's supposed to do. That's our number one job. So again, I keep telling you guys this. If you have friends, family members that have any kind of symptoms, any kind of problems, you need to look into this and say, hey, maybe this would be a good idea for you to go. If they live here, talk to the front desk, set up a time for them to come. Like literally set up a So that's why I tell people it's not about the neck pain or back pain. It's so much bigger than this. And your friends and family members are going to continue to keep living in that medical model unless we step in. And I say we, me and you, unless we step in and start doing something about that and get their bodies healing and functioning on the pathway they're supposed to function. Not all chiropractic care is created equal. One type is symptom medical care, and the other type is corrective care. We focus on getting to the root of your problem and removing your cause. That's what max living doctors do. And that's what we're different about. And we want to make sure, even if you have friends and family members that are going to other chiropractors and they're happy, are they getting this type of care? That's the question you need to ask. And so a couple more. This is Jen. It's an example of corrective care. On the left-hand side here, Jen, that's her initial x-ray. She's a minus 6 degrees. She's in a phase 2 of degeneration, massive migraine headaches. She's miserable most of the time. Started when she was 9 years old. She went to multiple doctors. They put her on multiple meds. She's taken about $1,000 a month worth of medication. Nothing's touching her headaches. She's been to tons of chiropractors. But here's what happened is she went to the chiropractors. They would adjust her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. In chiropractic school, this is how they teach us. They tell us to adjust people. Once the symptoms are gone, then the patient's done. The reason why they teach us this is because they teach us that because it's accepted by the medical model. And what ends up happening is people want to use their insurance. They want to only have symptom care. And it makes a lot of sense to people because you've been brainwashed to think that's the way to take care of yourself. But it's so much bigger than that. And thank God I got the type of education that I did after school that helped me learn and understand what an example of corrective care is. It's kind of like braces on your teeth. If you only put the braces on for a couple days a month and took it off for the other 29, 28 days, what happens is the teeth don't ever get better. But if you put the braces on and keep it on and keep getting it tight, and what happens is that actually goes through a corrective process. It's what's called constant pressure over time. Constant pressure over time. In order to move the bones of the spine, I can't adjust her 1, 2, or 3, or 4 times and then let it come back again. See, when I adjusted her the first time, it took 6 adjustments and her migraines went away. If I would have taken an x-ray of her after that 6 adjustments, it probably would have looked almost exactly like the initial x-ray. And her body would have kept getting worse along the way. Because remember, it's not about the headaches. That spine that you see there on her initial, I'm not worried about the migraine headaches. I hate that it's affecting her life. I hate that she can't hold a job. I hate that she can't finish high school because of this. I hate it for her. I want those symptoms to go away. But what I see is the bigger picture, that if she has a spine that looks like that and it stays there, we're talking about massive sickness and disease, if not cancer. Something major is going on in her body. So thankfully, we took her through a corrective care process where if I adjust you to keep constant pressure over time, if I adjust you 7 days a week for 2 months, every single day for 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, we will move your spine because it's enough pressure, taking the pressure off and keeping it constant pressure over time. Most people can't come that frequently and pay that much, and nobody wants to come that frequently anyway. So we had to figure out something different. So our corrective care, we start a lot of people on 3, 4, or 5 times a week, depending on its severity. When we adjust you on the days you're not here, you do your home stretches and exercises. The home stretches and exercises keep the pressure on the spine and nerve system to keep your body moving in the right direction on days you're not here. It's to stabilize the muscles, tendons, and ligaments and to support the spine. And then we take x-rays 2 to 3 months into it and even 4 or 5 months into it to see what's going on. And you can see Jen, 3 months into this, 36 visits into it, almost down to a textbook normal. What I love about that picture on the right there is that that's not just her migraine headaches went away in 2 weeks. But most chiropractors would have stopped because insurance companies stop when the pain goes away. But here's what I love. Because her spine looks like that now and functioning like that, what's happening is it's healing things that she didn't even know she had problems with yet. It's healing things that were in that 60 to 100%. She had functional issues going on inside of her body, but it didn't have symptoms yet. And thankfully, for her sake, she got in, started getting adjusted. Her path was on the right pathway. This is Charlene. It's an example of symptom care. You can barely see you can barely see the x-rays here, the bones, because it's so brittle. She's 65 years old. Her spine is destroyed. It's the worst phase of degeneration you could possibly have. And she went to a chiropractor on a regular basis for 20 years. The problem was she only went when she had aches and pains. She basically went once a month or 12 times a year because the doctor signed contracts with the insurance companies and he could only see her 12 times a year to adhere to the insurance model. So he did that. And did it help her neck pain? Yeah. But in the process of 20 years, as her spine got worse, her spine kept getting worse. Imagine if I wore braces for only 1 day and then took it off for 29 days. 1 day on, 29 days off. What would have happened to my teeth? They would have continued to keep getting worse instead of getting better, right? Her spine kept getting worse even though the neck pain went away. Now she has thyroid issues and depression, all stemming from the nerve system that you see that's going on here because her spine kept getting worse because she never got the proper care and she never stuck to a care plan that needed to go through a process of actually fixing it. Sam, his great grandma was a great patient of mine. Her name was Harriet. She was 94 years old. She says, Dr. Mark, I don't understand a word you say. You talk too fast. She goes, but what I do understand is if you have a good spine, you have good health. And if you have a bad spine, you have bad health. I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing. You get it. And I'm not even kidding you. She referred in like 18 people into our office. The first person she referred in was her niece that had cancer. She goes to me, hey, Dr. Mark, can you help my niece has cancer? And I said, yes, if she has damage where? In the nerve system. And I said, what's the way I can see if she has damaged nerve system? She goes, I got to get her in here. I'm like, absolutely. And so she referred in the next like 3 or 4 people she referred in had no symptoms at all. She understand that you could be between 60 and 100% and have no symptoms, right? Have no symptoms, but still have sickness or disease starting up in the body without symptoms. So she got those people checked up and got them under care. The last person she referred in, number 18, was Sam. She goes, can you help my great grandson, Sam? I said, what's going on? She goes, he's got depression, anxiety. Last night, he tried to put a rope around his neck and tried to hang himself. She goes, do you think you can help this? I go, I got to see the picture. And you can see the picture on the left here. At 17 years old, he's got zero curvature in his spine. It's got forward head posture, major stress and pressure on the nerve system. The function's obviously going downhill. If you have stress in the cervical spine here, if you have stress in the cervical spine, it creates tension in your prefrontal cortex. It decreases what they call neuroplasticity of your prefrontal cortex. And when you decrease this, it actually decreases the hormones, which is your happy hormones like serotonin, dopamine, sleep, focus. That's why when people come in and they start getting adjusted, they start to say, I'm sleeping better, I have more energy, I'm happier, I focus better, all these things, because this is connected to this. And you can see how much stress he has. So here's what happens. We start adjusting this kid 3 times a week. And 2 weeks coming in, he comes off of his meds. All he's doing, he's moving towards 100% function. 2 more weeks, he starts running every single day. 6 weeks into it, he starts teaching Sunday school at his church. And see, this is why I love doing what I do. You can see his picture, the second picture on the right-hand side. That's 3 months later. He's got almost a correct spine within that time. His body's functioning at 100%. Remember, it's not just about depression, anxiety in his case. What it's about overall function. Here's what I love. I don't want to adjust you guys just so you can have less aches and pains and so you can die with less aches and pains. There's plenty of chiropractors out there that do that for you. What our goal in our office is to get you functioning at the highest level so your body can do what it's supposed to do for the rest of your life and keep functioning, keep healing, and do exactly what it's supposed to do, obviously, for the rest of your life. So, hope that makes sense to you guys. So here's just in ending this. What are the ways that you can help us get this message out? And hopefully you guys are trying to get this message out to more people. Try harder. I'm just going to tell you this. Once people finally come in, they're like, man, I wish I'd have known about this a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And come to find out, a lot of cases, they actually knew people that were coming to our office. They just didn't ask enough, or they didn't speak loud enough. And it wasn't the right time. So you keep speaking about it. So what are the ways that you can help us get this message out? Well, number one, get their spines checked as soon as possible. Start with your family, your friends, the people around you. Bring them, drag them into the office, whatever you bribe them. I don't care. Bribe them. Okay. Number two, bring them to a class or dinner with a doc. We have those all the time. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to come in for us to educate them. We do corporate wellness. So if you own a company or your company is interested in having regular wellness classes and challenges, we can help you with that. We actually typically do those at no charge. I've done it with Elevation Church. We've done it with a lot of other large organizations. We do this on a very, very regular basis, so we can help you out. Number four, we can come and do a lunch and learn. We bring lunch. We partner with a lot of places that do catering. So if you have a workplace, a church group, or a school, ask us how we can do a lunch and learn for you. We cater it. We buy it for you. We come, we educate, and on the spot, people that want to come get checked up, they're able to come get checked up in our office. And then the fifth way is, share our videos, share videos like this, have them listen to me on the radio. Those are great ways to be able to get them the information that they need. And I'm going to leave this up here because I want you guys to be able to see this, understand this. But I just want you guys to know I love and appreciate if you're sitting in my hot seats in my office right now, you get this. But the more that you're exposed to this information, the better you start to see and understand it. I even see some chiropractors that lose focus and vision, and they stop getting adjusted themselves or stop living this lifestyle for their family. And the next thing you know, they have sickness and disease. It's like, you have to be reminded about this stuff. It's like everything. You have to invest in the relationship, or the relationship dies. You have to invest in the information. If you stop reading, if you stop using muscles, the muscles are going to die. You've got to keep working on this stuff on a regular basis. So we want to continue to keep educating in this way. Hope this hits you. I hope this lands with you. If you have questions, ask us. See the front desk. They can help you out. Have a great and blessed day, guys.